in high school, we were, you would cruise the Grove. I was one of those kids with the bass coming out of the truck and 28 speakers, and it took about an hour to get from where Sandbar is now down to Peacock Park. Actually, what we used to do, at one point, we would go through the part where the sailing club is in Peacock Park. It was a competition.
Okay.
How many alarms can you set off going through there with your bass? We had like 12 taps, I think, when I took over. That went to 22, and then I jumped to 52. Many of these breweries, we were their official launch, and they did their thing, and we carry their beer with some of them to this day.
And there's been talks within this office and the neighborhood, right, of trying to bring back the bed races possibly to Coconut Grove.
I still have the bed ready to go in my house. So if you bring it back, we're ready.
I'm Mark Burns, and today we're going inside the Grove with Lee Kessler. Lee is the owner of Barracuda Taphouse Grill, one of Coconut Grove's most iconic neighborhood gathering spots. In this episode, we explore the story behind Barracuda, the evolution of Coconut Grove, and why preserving the places that connect people and create memories matters more now than ever before. All that and more right now on Inside the Grove. Lee Kessler, welcome to Inside the Grove. Pleasure to have you, my friend. It's been a long time. I'm so happy that we finally get you on the show.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. Well, let's jump right into it, my man. We, Barracuda has been around. It was established around 1994, but it was called something else before.
Before, it was a Crazy Flamingo. As part of a small chain, west coast of Florida. I think there was 4 or 5 initially, down to 2 or 3, I think now. But the long story short is John O'Masry brought it over from the West Coast, brought it to Coconut Grove. We're the only one that is off the West Coast of Florida. At some point, the chain got into it, over legalities, and everybody broke. In order to break out of the chain, it became Barracuda, and that happened in '95.
And that's where we got the pink awnings.
And that's where the pink awning came. That's where the pink comes from. It was Crazy Flamingo.
Florida's always associated with with
flamingos.
with flamingos, but it's like I've lived here I've never seen a flamingo outside of the zoo. Maybe in the Everglades.
Yes, in the Everglades. It's funny. I hadn't seen it. My father lives in Key Largo, and we used to see them all the time. It tapered out, and now it's coming back. I do see them now, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And recently I've been seeing more and more.
Right, now
which is great.
Now it's peacocks that we have.
Well, in Grove are all peacocks.
The Grove peacocks everywhere for sure. Now, when exactly did you get involved in Barracuda? How far after that?
2012, is that right? Yeah, is when I jumped in. Yeah, it's been a little over 14 years now. I'm a third owner, and between John and myself, the owner had 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And honestly, it was the way it came about. Long story short, is that he was looking to sell and didn't want it to be on the open market. He felt that wouldn't look good. And I was doing real estate development. And he said, "Hey, a lot of people in the industry. I'll pay a commission if you can sell it." And
so you were like,
that's that.
You were like hired to be the broker to sell the business.
Not even a broker. He just kind of wanted to down low and whispers, and I did. And basically, people just. Some were interested, but they were out of state.
You got to see the numbers. You went in there and you saw the numbers.
No, are you kidding me? The numbers didn't even exist. These guys, the books were horrible.
Oh man!
I had to back into a whole different way. That's a whole different story.
Really?
I couldn't go by numbers. It's just they weren't that organized.
Oh wow!
And so, but I knew the place, and I've been going there since I could remember. And I was there. I had been there Crazy Flamingo days, and so I knew what it's capable of. I watched when John had it really rocking and rolling, and I thought I was due for a comeback. And actually, I spent more time at Tavern in those days, but I did the circuit like everybody else did, hit all the different bars and Fat Tuesdays and Moe's and all the clubs that existed then, and I just knew there was a lot of potential there.
So at the time, was it kind of on a downward swing? The
when
business?
I took over,
yeah.
I would yes.
Okay.
Yes, they were doing a little more partying than they were a business, and to each their own.
Yeah.
But it made it great for me to buy.
Right. Yeah. No, I've been watching a lot of Bar Rescue with my wife all the time. She has it on a nonstop loop, so you see
funny.
that a lot. You see that a lot. People, everybody behind the bar getting a little too loosey and
Yep.
giving away a little too much when you get like that. So
Numbers are tight. You gotta kind of you have to watch it.
yeah. Well, speaking of, you talked about going there as a kid. So I want to get a little bit about your experience in Coconut Grove growing up. I know you were kind of in the area and you visited here a lot. You would come hang out here, and then you finally moved here. Tell us a little bit about your story with, in the sense of the Grove.
So yes, coming to the Grove as far as I can remember. Parents would take me shopping, this and that. Those were great times. And then as I got older, in high school, we were, you would cruise the Grove. I was one of those kids with the bass coming out of the truck and 28 speakers, and we did our sound competitions. And then my friends had lowriders, and it took about an hour to get from where Sandbar is now down to Peacock Park.
The bass that ate Miami. Do you remember that, dude?
I do not remember that one, but man. we had some great. Techmaster was a PEV, or it was the loudest bass there could be. Actually, what we used to do at one point, we would go through the part where the sailing club is in Peacock Park. It was a competition.
Okay.
How many alarms can you set off?
Oh, wow.
Going through there with your bass.
I had two 12s in the back of my Volkswagen Fox.
There you
that
go.
used to shake so much it would disturb all my neighbors incessantly, for sure.
That, and there was one homeless guy named Art that for $5 he watched my truck all night, the rest of the night. Once I did park it.
Wonderful. Mine actually did end up getting broken into and my stuff stolen right out front of my house.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So I didn't have a homeless guy to watch over my
ironically,
system.
he was really
He was
the guy was on
diligent.
point. Yeah, he stuck.
$5 went a long way back then.
Big time.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're talking about some of the good old times in the Grove. So you're seeing an evolution, right? The Grove has been maturing and
Sure.
kind of growing up. How has that, what kind of changes have you seen? Some of the positives, some of the, just what's your vibe on it? What's your take on it?
The evolution's inevitable. I do like the old Grove. I do. There's a reason we live here with all the tree canopy and our wildlife, and it's we predate Miami. It's just like
Sure.
It's a great place. But as for what's happening, there are changes. It's just tough keeping the taste, keeping that flavor of the Grove, keeping the character of the Grove. It's a fine line to walk. I did the same thing with Barracuda. You want to keep it traditional. You want to keep it what people love and know, but you have to evolve. You can't just stay stagnant. And well, in that case, for me, it was craft beer. As the Grove goes as a whole, there are differences. Just in the people, even not just the places. One thing I really have always loved is you walk down the street, and whether I knew you or not, hey, good morning. You say hi. You acknowledge each other walking by.
Sure.
Strangers. I hate to say, but now, and I'm not going to say it's a New York inflection. I think it's kind of a world issue.
Right.
People looking at their phone and whatever, but. Walking, maybe 1 out of 10 might acknowledge you walking by them. Most people are looking at their phone, they're looking at the ground, and I see that change. I'm not a big fan of it. I like the community part where you say good morning.
That's what I notice the most when I'm with Monty is everybody, how you doing?
Right.
It's seamless.
If I don't say it, I nod, I acknowledge.
Yeah, right. And sometimes I try to do the same thing. I try to emulate him, right? And I try to do that. And sometimes people don't say anything back, and hey, it's all good.
Yeah, again,
no
to
problem.
each your own. But I kind of miss when it is that rapport. Even if I don't know you.
So you touched on something that really interests me because we're talking about evolution of the Grove, and in the business, especially in bars and restaurants, you want to see evolution in the product, right? Things get again. We're going back to my bar rescue
Sure.
learning, right? Things get stale. You got to redo your restaurant every 10 years or so, or you got to make special changes. Yeah, how do you you mentioned craft beer, so I take it was originally just like your imports and your normal lagers and things like that. And
we had like 12 taps, I think, when I took over. That went to 22, and then I jumped to 52. Luckily, I bought Barracuda the same time craft beer started in Miami, basically. Wynwood Brewery started 2012 as well. They were our first real production brewery, and so we kind of all grew up together. And Barracuda launched many of these breweries. We were their official launch, and they did their thing, and we carry their beer with some of them to this day. And it just was very good timing, and it was that. And to me, that was what would evolve Barracuda. We don't have liquor. That was the way to go. It already had a following. And at first, it's funny because you bring a sour beer in and people were like, oh, this is bad. And you're like, no, that's how it's supposed to taste, And some love it, some hate it, to each their own.
Right.
But having the variety, and we just made ourselves the staple for that. And the place already was a staple of the Grove, and now add the craft beer, and we're the craft beer bar of the Grove.
Yeah, and your staff is great, and they're super knowledgeable.
They
I
are.
love a good beer, and they've never steered me wrong because there's so many options to choose from, and kind of I like to try different things. So whenever I give them a little, hey, I'm looking for this, a little bit, not too hoppy, and
They're great like
they
that.
always hook me up, and I'm always like, and I always continue. I've never once done that and got a different beer. Like it always hits the mark. So kudos
Perfect.
to you
Good to
for.
hear.
I don't know if you're training them or who's doing the training, but they're super
It's a little
knowledgeable.
bit of training, but it's also people who have heart in it.
Well, wonderful. Well, listen. So I kind of want to. There's been so much since you've been here in the Grove, and I wanted to talk about a difficult time, COVID. Right, there was a big change in Fuller Street, in Barracuda, in all of Miami during COVID. Tell us a little bit about the experience and kind of how the business evolved in that effect.
We had a silver lining. COVID, when the restaurant recovery program started, basically there was an application. There were 2 boxes you could check at one point. You take parking spaces or the street. Apparently, myself and one other business in Midtown checked the box for a street. At the time, Ken Russell was commissioner, and his staff they were phenomenal in helping me out. After I submitted that in working that street cafe out, it saved us. I mean, I don't know if we would have survived pandemic without it. But it also became an interesting time in the way of the policing of it, the masks, and this was a new thing for everybody. And, some people are very resistant to it. And again, to each their own, but I don't want to lose my license over someone not wearing a mask.
Right.
So we had to police it, and I had to find creative ways of doing that. And once we had the tables out there, it was tough because people had to wear a mask when they were walking around, but once they sat, they could take it off. But the police were on it, and I was being watched for that. So I ended up hiring Connie, who's a comedian. She had a pink cape and a tutu, and it was a very disarming person to walk up to you.
Did she have a bullhorn also?
She might have at one point,
Oh,
but she's
man.
loud enough. She could be loud when she wants to
Okay.
be. But it was a great humorous way to, kind of keep the rules.
Ingenious.
And one of the best stories that came, a little side story for you, is that there was one guy who stood up, and she's like, hey, and he took his mask off. Hey, you can't do that. And he dropped a knee and proposed to his fiance, or
Oh, wow.
proposed to his girlfriend. And I mean, it was awesome that they chose that time, that place, and he was very intentional. I wish he gave us a heads up. She wouldn't have been all over him and let
Sure.
him do his thing. But, it was very cool, and it was very community, and it was just a great, at that time, people really were gathering on Fuller. That was your community. I mean, otherwise you were home doing your own thing. There shouldn't have been a gathering anywhere. And we spaced the tables evenly, and it was all legit, and it was great. And some great stories came from it, just like that one.
Yeah, whenever there's calamity in the world or distress, it always breeds opportunity. It's all kind of what you make of it,
Yep.
right? The downturn, the housing crisis. Many people made a lot of money
Yeah.
off of that. So it's all you got to turn tragedy into triumph, and you
Absolutely.
did that. So kudos to you, my man.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So another, this is a little bit more difficult of a topic, right? We have a lot of changes. We talked about COVID, and now the street is shut down permanently, right? We got it approved, thankfully, by the
Yes.
county and the city. Many years, probably 5 or 6 years of work to do that. But now we have the Ziggurat project coming on down the street, and you and I have been a part of community meetings to redevelop Fuller Street, and we want to keep it a little more minimalist. But with that new development, it's going to look more beautiful out there, and that brings me to, we seeing a lot of change. We see just recently the knockdown of the building where Sapori Damari was, and the dry cleaners, and it just leads me to come to the future of Barracuda, right? It's like, I mean, I could not imagine a Coconut Grove without Barracuda. So, I mean, I'm sure you have thought about things like this. And when I don't want to get into lease terms, but I know leases aren't typically indefinite, right? You're going to have a certain amount of term. And what are your thoughts on the future and with all this evolution and skyrocketing rents? What are your thoughts and your hopes, right? Fingers crossed.
That is a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Good.
And that's really the best way of saying it. In all these meetings, my previous life was real estate development. I get where these guys were coming from, and I get my the neighborhood side of it. Again, it's inevitable. Like, this is gonna happen. There's a lot of money coming into the Grove. It's changing. It's a great thing. It needed to be the Fuller Street needed the work. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. I think these guys have been very good in listening to the public and the community and what's going on, which not all developers do.
Oh, I agree.
I remember going to meetings as a developer and just getting bombarded by community for what you're doing. You're the evil developer. And these guys have done a very good job of listening to the public, I think, and incorporating their thoughts and ideas into it. And yes, and it's funny that Fuller Street started out in their drawings being a lot more intricate, and now they did back it down because that's kind of what the community said. Right. They really liked the open space gathering, and I think they've been listening well, and I think it'll be phenomenal. Like anything else, it'll be dusty. Construction's not clean, right? But it's only for a short amount of time, and when it's done, it's beautiful.
No, I agree. I was over visiting your establishment the other day, and just it was packed. There was not a seat available. The community gathering out on Fuller Street was amazing. Let's get a little more into Barracuda, right? Okay. We recently had a food critic on that said you guys had the best fish sandwich in all of Coconut Grove. What's in right? Most people are coming in for a beer to have a little libation. What's something they're missing out on the menu for just coming in for a beer?
They really, everything's on the menu sells pretty well. I like to try and knock off whatever's a bad seller every year and replace it. I'm pretty conscious of that. But, I love it when Bahamians come in, love the conch fritters. We make them in-house. That's something they're not ordered as much, but those who love them, it's religion. They come in always, no matter what, conch fritters.
That's a tough one to get right.
And and I've had Bahamian chefs come in trying to change the recipe. Like, no. Because you gotta stick to the original recipe. Right. That's what people come for. You don't change it on them. It's more difficult to keep them making the recipe consistent than the sales. But that, I don't know. Everybody they buy things across the board, really. Okay. I think if it's on the menu, it's meant to be there. Otherwise, I should knock it off.
Another politician, people. The guy can't pick one thing. I
can't. And I'm not a foodie. Like, I don't. I'm a basic eater. I like my bang for the buck. I mean, that's why my place is the way it is.
Right. No, and we love it the way that it is.
Yeah.
So don't change too much.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Michelin star and all these great plates. You need your variety.
Yeah.
Everything has balance, and I think you need to keep the balance. If we all go Michelin star, or if we all go very high end, where am I gonna go for lunch? I don't want to go broke for lunch. So you got to have the balance, and I feel like I'm, the lower end of that balance, but it's not low. It's just it's for the public.
Affordable.
It's affordable. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely a Grove guy, right? And that brings me to, I want to get your take on some of the events and things like that, some of the more wacky events, right? I know you get involved and you're a big supporter of the King Mango Strut. And there's been talks within this office and the neighborhood, right, of trying to bring back the bed races possibly to Coconut Grove. Give me your thoughts on, the bed races have been gone, more so on the bed races, yeah?
Yeah, I participated in a bunch of them. I still have the bed ready to go in my house. The frame and the wheels I have. The rest of it's decayed over the years.
It's got to be all rusted, yeah.
Oh, no. Aluminum, we did it right. It's very well, it was well done. So if you bring it back, we're ready. I get, the tough part of that is also just, it became a very expensive event to put on, insurance-wise, all that. I hope we bring it back. A Mango Strut, that's to me, that's one of the most unique events of the Grove, and it's amazing, and I love it, and I'm glad we're keeping it alive. Yeah. To explain it to an outsider is just,
You
it's
got to
fun.
be there. You got to be
gotta
there.
be there. But when you say we're doing a parody on these things and they don't get it, I'm like, you don't understand. They could be ragging on the person behind it, the float behind them,
Right.
and it's all good. There really are no boundaries, and it's great. Just tell it like it is.
And you get to see
Miami gives a lot of
you get to
material.
see true Lee Kessler in action at the
Yes.
Mango Strut. That's a fun one to catch. Lee.
Yeah.
You always have a good time, man.
I have a great time doing it.
I love it. Well, listen, we're getting towards the end of the show where we always like to ask our guests the Grove 3, right? So we'll start off cafecito or cocktails.
I have to say cocktails, although the cafecito keeps you going.
I would have been surprised if you would have said cafecito. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, it's
being
cocktails.
a man
I didn't
in
even
the-
drink coffee until a couple of years ago.
Oh,
I thought it was dirty water.
Well, where's your favorite spot besides Barracuda to get a cocktail at?
I mean, as for cocktails, I have to say I do stay at my place a lot. I do visit Sandbar a lot. And as for just Grove places, I wouldn't say for cocktail, but Shorter Door to me is a great old Grove place.
I just went there recently too.
Really? For the first time?
Yeah, during the parade that just happened, the Goombay,
Yes.
the Goombay Fest. Yeah, I just went over there and it was super cool.
It's
super
very
kitschy.
reminiscent of Scotty's.
Okay.
And Indira.
The big tub?
Used to work there.
Yep,
What's that?
the big tub. Just
Just
take
all
your
of
beer
it.
and mark
It's just
it
very
was super
Grove.
cool.
The live music is very Coconut Grove to me. I wish we had more of it.
There wasn't live music when I went there, but it was a cool
Usually there is,
vibe.
and it's a great vibe, and it's just I go there, I know at least half the place there. I just know half the people there. And it's just down to earth, low prices, great fresh fish, as fresh as it gets, and it's just
Well,
good
we'll have
times.
to go over there one of these
Definitely
days.
check it out.
Last thing I got for you: describe the Grove for me. The character of the Grove in one word.
You kind of used my word, I think. I would say home at first. That's the first thing that comes to mind, but I know someone did say that on one of your interviews.
Possibly.
So I will say character. 'Cause
Okay.
Not just the place, but the people too. We have characters. And
You
that
know
makes
what?
the
Yeah,
Grove.
it's kind of a double entendre there. You know, it has character and it has characters.
Right.
I love it.
It works.
Lee, thank you so much for
you.
joining us.
It's a pleasure.
We'll see you next time on Inside the Grove.